Welcome, everyone. I'm going to give a few words. I haven't greeted you yet. I apologize. First, I have to hug Sandy. So I'm just going to speak for a little bit, and as you know, you're being filmed, so I'll try not to say anything that will embarrass me. But so thank you, everyone, for coming. Most of you know me, some of you don't. I see some new faces, which I'm really grateful for. And today is the celebration of what is probably about a 3.5-year journey to this book being published. And I wanted to share a little bit of that journey with you. And before I do that, I want to thank you all for coming. It's really my pleasure to have you all here. If you have had a chance to read my book, you'll see where I talk about the community of kindred spirits. And that's what I believe networking is the collaboration and sharing of resources in a group of kindred spirits. A testament to that is my book launch team, which ended up being 75 volunteers who said, yes, Christine, I will help get the word out about your book. Yes, that includes a little bit of family, okay? I did not bribe them, but most of them were people who just were cheering for me. And I can't describe that feeling because I have made it my mission to be a resource to my business community. So I'm always the one giving. So to ask, most of you know I teach an ask model. You've got to put your ask out there. And to ask for help and get it at that magnitude is that testament to the kindred spirit community. So if you take anything from what I'll share today, that's what I would like you to consider, is that networking is the sharing of resources between a network of those kindred spirits. Because people will rally behind you when you're competing against yourself more than they'll rally behind you when you're competing against other people. And so thank you all. You're part of that kindred spirit community who wanted to see me succeed, and I have. So let me tell you about those quick results first and just a tad about self-publishing, and then I want to share the path to the book. Does that sound okay to everybody? So I am not a digital marketer. Most of you know I'm an in-person kind of gal. I speak, I network, and so this book represented the opportunity for me to get the book out online. So it started with a free Kindle promotion, and over 1,000 copies were downloaded during that time. Isn't that amazing? And that's attributable to those 75 partners who were on my launch team and who agreed to social media post or send an email blast or whatever the case might be, send it off to their family. And so it's an amazing thing to look at that number and say, oh my gosh, 1,000 people, many of whom I don't know, are now reading this book. The paperback, which you have here today, is my tool for speaking, but also reaching people who like to touch a book. How many of you are like that? Like, I like to flag and touch and underline and highlight. And it's also a tool for those who have a different learning style. So we've got the Kindle peeps, and then we've got the paperback peeps and everything in between. Lori reminded me that this started in November of 2013 when I was working with small business owners, primarily service entrepreneurs, and I was seeing them running around doing all this stuff and exhausting themselves, trying to do everything you guys know who they is, they said they ought to do, right? All those marketing experts. And as an introvert, I call myself a social introvert, I gain energy from going within. And I, too, felt that drain of self-promotion in my business. And I wanted to help these entrepreneurs in a greater way. So I hosted a one-day event called You Don't Have to Shout to Stand Out. And that's where it started. I taught this material, and a year later I created a guidebook from it called Your Spirit at Work. Bring more of you through what you do so your vision comes true. I self-published that on this end of the publishing scale, which means I created a PDF, I got an ISBN number, and I went to Minuteman Press and had those babies printed up. Okay, so that's this end of self-publishing. There's another end of publishing where you go to a publisher and petition. Sometimes it's 100+ page proposal for them to take your book. And if you're lucky, a traditional publisher will take it. And all the research that I did around publishing, I chose this method of self-publishing that you all are participating in my celebration for today. So as I started to lay this material down into a book, it first birthed itself during a snowstorm in December, January. I had nothing else to do, and I didn't want to watch movies. So I thought, let me put into words my signature talk, which I had started to do after my one-day event. I started speaking about you don't have to shout to stand out. And I birthed about 7,000 words in one day. The book now is about 15,000. So I added to it over the course of those 2 years. And I'm really thankful that I followed my inner knowing and my guidance system around not rushing that book into print. What I was able to do in that 2-year period of time was partly beat myself up because I hadn't published the book yet, okay, right? So we're harder on ourselves than anyone else. And once I was able to more see my journey, I was able to add into the book some of the new learnings that I began to gather along the way. Things like the brain science of messaging or the biology of connection. All of those are given to you in small little bites in this book as evidence why the messaging techniques are what I recommend and why, and also evidence of the connection techniques, which the book is all about conversation. So I don't want to give a spoiler to those who haven't yet read the book. So the two components that are intermeshed with the messaging and the connection techniques are about really coming forth into the world in your own unique and natural way. On the back end of this book promotion, I've spent close to 2 weeks recovering mentally, physically, because of the exertion, because of the project management. I chose to do all of that myself. So as that introvert, I thought I had built enough time for rest and relaxation in between, and I pretty much did, but I underestimated that toll that it took on me. So owning who you are, which is all about you don't have to shout to stand out, I was able to look at that and not judge myself for needing a lot of self-care time, really intense recovery after the book promotion, especially as being self-published. Yet part of that is inner work, and part of that is outer reflection of that inner work. So when you think about one topic I talk about is purpose in the book, that's inner work. What's my purpose? Why am I here? What am I here to do? What is the calling that is causing me to act and get up every morning and say, this is what I'm all about? That's inner work. The outer work then is what you say. How do I choose to represent myself? How many of you are business owners standing there right now? Okay, so 90% of the room. So when we think about marketing, marketing seems to be all of the output, all of the promotion, all of the branding, all of the social media platforms, your website copy, all these things that cause us consternation. However, what shows up there comes through you, right? That's the inner work. And that's why purpose work is important. Spending time to really stand for your position statements, knowing that what you stand for is what's going to draw people around you. So those of you here are a testament to that in some way. I wrote this book called You Don't Have to Shout to Stand Out. Some of you have heard me speak before, or you've taken a program or worked with me before, so you know what I'm all about. You wouldn't be here if you didn't believe what I believed. And that's the testament to purpose, that when we can find ways to share that, that's the emotional draw that people on the receiving end feel that make them rise up and take that step forward to join you. So it becomes leadership by vibration, I like to call it. So if I'm humming in my vibration of, I believe that everybody matters and deserves to be heard. And as much as I love technology, it pushes us behind screens and causes our conversation muscles to atrophy. And if we aren't careful, it's going to separate us instead of bring us together. So how can we strengthen these conversation skills, which is a beautiful medium that everyone has at their disposal to connect to other human beings? That's what I'm all about. And that's what You Don't Have to Shout to Stand Out is all about. Knowing that you get to trust that your path is going to be different than anyone else's, and that's okay. And your way might be different than others, and that's perfect. And when you read something that you should be doing, stop shooting all over yourself, right? In your business or your life, you can check into that purpose and instead say, does this feel right for me? So this extreme self-care that I've chosen the past 3 weeks, I've done my best to let people around me know, you're not going to hear much from me. I really have had to go within. It wasn't just a physical result. It was also that inner work, because now I am a different person than I was 4 weeks ago. Big time. It isn't just being an author. It's stepping into the spotlight. It's having people coming at me in a good way, like, I want to interview you on my podcast and my TV show. So it has been a recalibration of who I am in this moment, because everything we do causes our evolution to happen. Everything we choose, all the experiences that we make, is what form us. Especially those of you who create businesses. That's creation. You're putting something out in the world that has never existed before. Like, how cool is that? Right? And if you happen not to be a business owner, think about your own lives and how you show up for your families, or through your hobbies, or your volunteerism, or your causes. You are creating. And that is what evolution is all about. We're destined to evolve. And when we're able to embrace that and really love on it a little bit, instead of resisting what's happening, things can go a little bit more smoother for us if we recognize that that's just part of it. So there's that time when the little hermit crab has to leave that little shell and go find another shell that fits. And that period in between is that vulnerable period of time. So that's what I chose to do. And I'm glad I did, because now I have the energy to be here with you guys today and to celebrate what it was that I did. And I'm really glad that you all showed up to celebrate with me. So please help spread the word about this book. While the context is networking conversations, it really is about human connection. And I chose that context because of the community that I serve and the pain point that most people feel when they go out networking, right? It's doable and usable in all areas of your life that you happen to speak to another human being, which is every moment almost in time, except for introverts like me who spend days at a time thinking. So please spread the word. It would be my honor to speak to groups that you might know who this might feel an important topic for. We've had a lot of chats recently about millennials and perhaps their need or desire, or maybe not, of honing their conversation skills. Maybe it's a women's professional association or a women's group, or even a business networking group that you feel might be able to learn or be interested in learning more networking skills that could amp up their business. So I would love to bring what I know to those groups if you should know anybody. So thank you again for coming. There's a register to win on Carrie's food table, so please register to win a dinner box, right, Carrie? And yes, have fun, enjoy, and thank you for coming.